All right, I think we are live. Woohoo! Hey, everybody, this is Kai Deering, independent associate with PPLSI, LegalShield, and IDShield. I've been with them for, my goodness, nearly 21 years this December. And so I'm kind of a nerdy expert on identity theft, and I really do love sharing about it. So this is actually episode 9, if you can believe it. We've been sharing with everybody for the last few, almost a couple of weeks now, a little bit about identity theft every single day. And so if you've missed any of the other episodes and you want to check them out, the first 3, we went over 6 areas of identity theft, kind of what it is and how they get your information. And then we talked about some facts, and then we launched into really who is doing it and why they're doing it. And then our last episode, we started talking about a little bit about how the thieves get your information. And so today we're going to finish on how the thieves get your information. And we're going to start launching into some risk reduction tips. I can't say prevention tips because we can't prevent it. But what I can do is I can bring your comments on screen here. So if you have anything and you're watching us live, please do ask any questions you'd like. I'd be happy to answer them. And we try to go about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll pick it up again tomorrow. So this is where we left off. We talked about how the thieves are getting your data. And there's a couple more areas. So one, how they're getting your information is phone spoofing, if you will. So most people trust what's on their caller ID. However, this is really interesting to share with you that these are all different ways to spoof somebody's phone number. My favorite is the last one you see here, which is phonegangster.com. And for, $10, $20, $30, $40 a month, you can have a certain number of minutes where your phone number will look like the Chase credit card number or the local police department or the IRS. So again, as we talked about, if you did not initiate the contact, I'm going to encourage you to hang up the phone, find the number on the internet or on the back of your credit card, and really call those people direct. Because yes, sometimes you can't trust what's on your caller ID, unfortunately. Now, this is not that class, but certainly make sure that you've got your spyware and your firewalls all up to date. With our program, we do have some anti-malware with Trend Micro that we can put on multiple devices. And then be aware of really email ruses. And I think we've all gotten them, but why do we keep getting them? Well, obviously because people fall for them and they work. And how do you know you've got a spoofing email? Well, if you look at the email address or hit reply, you will see that it's not to, Yahoo, corporate.com. It's some Gmail account, or it's some, so-and-so and such at yahoo.com. And so that's how you're going to know. Just look at who the email is coming from. If you need to be able to see it in detail, hit reply. It'll show it to you. And the other thing I'm going to ask you to do is, if you do receive one of these, I try my hardest to remember to always forward them to abuse@yahoo.com, abuse@paypal.com, abuse@whatever.com, because I think that really does help people find those IP addresses and help thwart against it. And we are live. And so my little 4-pound Pomeranian, hello, wanted to come up on the desk right now, and so she wanted the elevator. So there you go. So those are your email ruses. We also want to be careful of these phishing scams. If you'll remember, we talked about earlier that the IRS is not going to call you or email you. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that try to do that. So this one says, irsgovernment.outlook.com. So it's pretty obvious, but people fall for these and they put in their sensitive information from PayPal and all these other different users. So the IRS alerts right now payroll and HR to let them know a lot of professional phishing schemes. And we are going to talk in some later episodes about how cyber attacks happen, who's doing it, how they're getting information. But a lot of times, so the IRS is saying, alerting them that there are a lot of phishing scams that will say, hey, I'm your insurance provider. Please give me your census. And if you know anything about a census from company, my gosh, there's a lot of information on there. Phishing emails appear to be from CEOs or other company officers, and they're very, very, very convincing. So if somebody requests employee data or copies of W-2s or census and things like that, really be aware and make sure that you do not respond to these. And this is up just such an obnoxious amount. It's 300% up, these hacks. So since pandemic. So let's talk about what we can do to reduce that a little bit. So, be stingy with your personal information. Ask, if you're applying for a job, do they really need all the information until you have an offer? Check your financial information regularly. So I have a bookkeeper, but still, my personal stuff, sometimes things get, I forget about them. So make sure you're checking them regularly. Is everything on there that should be on there? Is there anything that isn't on there? Is there anything questionable? And then ask for a copy of your credit report. You can do those once a year from all 3 repositories. Just make sure that you're careful that you're not actually paying for a service. So don't put your credit card into any of these if it's freecreditreport.com. And then just maintain careful banking and financial records so that you can keep on track of that. Hey, Charles, thanks. I love it. I can see everybody's information. Hey, Charles, appreciate you. Just used his incredible social media platform today to post. So thank you so much, Charles. We're also going to share with you now, as we move on here real quickly, is how to reduce your risk. And this is a whole lot of information, a lot of it at one time. And so we'll kind of go through this one at a time, and we'll see how far we get in about 10 minutes. So first of all is, it seems so obvious, but don't carry your passport, social security card, birth certificate around with you. I've done this for seniors a lot of times, and they'll say, oh, I didn't know. They might have their social security number, whatnot, in their card, in their wallet, or written down, even worse. So be careful what you have in there, because a lot of times we do carry stuff that we don't need to. So what's in there, make sure you take it out. You don't need your passport with you all the time. You don't need your social security with you. Keep only a few cards in your wallet. So I don't keep my ATM cards in my wallet. They are, kind of hidden away somewhere in my home. If you can lock it, great. You can hide it, great. I only take my ATM out when I'm making a deposit or withdrawal. Otherwise, it doesn't end up in my wallet. But I still highly recommend that you take photocopies of everything that is in your wallet. So front side and back side. Front side, so you'll probably have the number. Back side, you'll have the phone numbers to the places in case anything happened. You can get those removed, canceled swiftly. So you want to make sure you've got that. And of course, put that somewhere or you're not going to lose it, or where someone's not going to get a hold of it. So make a photocopy of the front and back. Also, invest in a cross-cut shredder. Unfortunately, a strip cut shredder, if you were to throw that into your recycle bin, somebody who had some copious free time could put those together, but a cross-cut shredder, they cannot. In fact, I did a lot of presentations with the electronics crime division in Redwood City back in the day. And they talked about how they busted these criminals that had rented a storage locker, and they got the tip that the police were coming. And so they started shredding everything, and they shredded them in strip cut shredders. And what happened was they were able to piece that, law enforcement was able to piece some of that back together again, and be able to, figure out who did what and where it all came from. So if it's good enough for the department to be able to do that, they can also do that with criminals. So be sure to invest that, especially if you own a business. And by the way, today is Small Business Saturday. So shout out to all my brothers and sisters who are self-employed and holding the space for that. I know we create more opportunities, more jobs, more commerce out there on the market collectively than large companies. So kudos to all my restaurant owners, coaches, gym owners, franchise owners, network marketers like myself, and everywhere in between. We're proud. Keep doing what you're doing, especially in these uncertain times. Keep going. So as we move along here, don't you give out your social security number. So whenever possible, don't give it out. So I ask, if you're, somewhere and they're asking for it, is that required? Can I just give you the last 4? I'm real careful with who needs it and why do you need it, and are you sure you need it? So the less places that can be, the better it is. And sometimes people are just, using it and hadn't even thought about it. So don't put your social security number or sensitive information on your checks. Now, this might be, if you're a millennial, you're like, what are you talking about? But some of my, brothers that are in the fourth quarter of their life, if you will, this is what we used to do. My mom used to print her driver's license on everything, her address, her phone number was on the checks. Don't put anything on there. If you want to put a P.O. box, great, that's fine. But truly don't put anything on your checks. Now, I know young people are like, checks? I don't even use a check. What are you talking about? So for those of you who do use checks, just be very mindful, because whatever could be on there, let's just say you're mailing your bills and you're using checks and it gets to the help desk person. We talked about opportunistic insiders. Well, they could be sitting there processing your information, and now they've got your account information. Let's say you're sending a check to your utility company, and then now you've got your check there with your driver's license maybe printed on it and your social security number. They got pretty much everything they need to be able to take advantage of the situation. So make sure you're not putting your sensitive information on there. Now, this has come a long way, but still sometimes your medical cards, driver's license, student numbers can contain your social security number. I'm going to ask you very politely to tell them not to or change it. I do believe that this is less of a problem today than it's ever been. So people are hip to the ways with that. But when I was a kid, my student ID was my social security number. Let's see if we can finish this in the few minutes we have remaining. And if you've got questions, again, feel free to bring them up on screen. I can share them. Don't get checks sent to your home. So when you're ordering a box of checks, if you're still ordering them, I do, just not nearly as often. They do come now in a little bit of a flatter envelope, but it still can and they try to put it in a, wrapping that doesn't look like it's anything. But still, if you can, get your checks mailed to, if possible, to the bank and pick them up at the bank. That's really the best way to go. We talked a little bit about this before. Get a locking mailbox, or better yet, get a P.O. box. And if you have a mailbox, because I volunteer and deliver our little local newsletter here in our neighborhood. And the folks who have, the mailbox at the front, I think, oh no, put the mailbox as close as you can to the house, so somebody just kind of walking by on the sidewalk wouldn't be opportunistic. We also talked about don't mail things out from your home, as well as your statements from your home with the little red flag up. And then no documents in your glove box. And if you do, lock them. And here's one that's really interesting. If you do write checks and you are mailing in, receipts and all that good stuff, do not put your full account number on the memo portion of the check. Let's say I'm paying, again, in the example we gave you, which is we're paying our utility bill or whatnot. You do not need to put your Visa. You do not need to put your full account number at the bottom of your credit card when you're paying your credit card. You could put the same XXXXS and then the last 4 over there in the corner. If possible, with your ATM, I'm going to talk about this a little bit too, because your safeguards are not nearly as robust there. Be sure I only try to carry a Visa. I try to only use a Visa to pay things, and then leave my ATM card at home, locked up or hidden. But you can also, if you remember back in the day when we first got ATM cards, they didn't have the Visa logo. And at one point, they thought that would be a great idea to put a Visa logo on there and start double dipping and making all kinds of money with it. And so if you can request an ATM only card where there is no Visa logo on it. So it would require your PIN every single time. However, the banks don't like that, but they can do it if you request. And sometimes you'll have to request a few times to be able to do that. When you sign your credit cards, be sure to sign and put CID. I sign it and I put CID. And then when somebody asks for it, you're checking out somewhere and they ask for it just to see it, praise and reward the behavior that we want to see more of. So when they do that, say, yay, thank you so much, for asking to see my ID with my credit card, because, I sell identity theft solutions and I just really appreciate that. And if you stick around to the end, or you want to email me, my full account is on my LinkedIn, or you want to message me, you can, and I will give you the information to remove your name from marketing lists. So that's important, right? Get your information off as much as you can. And so again, if you private message me, if you're on Facebook, I will give you that number. If you are on LinkedIn, you can private message me. I believe my email's up there too, if you wanted to do that. But if you take action and do that, I will happily give you the opt out from the marketing list as well. And then cancel your unused credit card. There used to be some discrepancies if it had a credit card that was canceled, it could affect your credit. I'm not a credit counselor, but certainly you can ask somebody, or our services, if you end up purchasing both of them, you do get some credit counseling. And that might be a great question. Would it affect my credit if I canceled an unused credit card? I'm understanding recently that it will not, but things change swiftly. So that'd be a great question for your licensed private investigator if you're a member of the services. Look for those internet transactions to be secure. So you're looking for those digital certifications that say that these are trusted. And then on another note, read your privacy policy. So by just throwing away every year your visa statement, you are agreeing to all the terms and conditions. It's one of the few where actually by throwing it away, you're actually opting in. So if you take time and actually read those and opt out of those, things like we're allowed to share your information with all of our subsidiaries. So let's assume that you've got a great credit card company. They're very secure, but they have a B lending or an auto loan area, right, where they have subprime or anything like that, right? And they're going to be selling your information to them. That could be a problem. Maybe they're not nearly as secure as your trusted financial institution. So be mindful, read those, and opt out if you're not comfortable with those privacy policies. And I think what we're going to do now is, if this does happen to you, the next episode we're going to talk about, because we're kind of up to time here, is we're going to talk about in the next episode, which is episode 10, what to do if it happens to you. And then we're going to talk about the 4 industry responses that we've seen. So episode 10 will cover what did you see out in the marketplace? What are people selling that first came to the marketplace to finish that? So with that, I want to thank everybody for listening. Happy Small Business Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow, Sunday. We'll also see you on Cyber Monday to finish out a couple of series. We may end up going one more day after that as well. But with that, I've really enjoyed sharing with you some of my best tips when it comes to identity theft. So take care, take charge, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Be sure to watch the other episodes about who's doing it, how they're doing it, what it is. And so with that, take care, take charge. We'll see you over the top. Thanks, Charles, for watching. Appreciate that. And have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.